Hello. Slight confession time. I've already spun for 30 minutes today, recorded a video, and then my footage got corrupted. So this is the second go around, a good few hours later, and this is where we are. This is how much I've got left to spin for this particular single. The goal is to spin this black Corridale. So that's roughly the thickness on my nice drop spindle. And we're going to use that for my pre-existing green single that's been sat on the bobbin for months. And we're going to have a nice green and black bob hole, and it'll be wonderful. That is the goal. Ooh, careful. There we go, got that spinning. I was wondering, why is this all wrong? Yeah, it's because I'm trying to do this left-handed. Fun fact, I'm ambidextrous, and sometimes that leads to confusion. Is I just like, I do something with my hands and then I'm like, I can't quite like coordinate what's going on. So that's fun. And of course, because I've been taught to spin by right-handed people, it's easier for me to do this right-handed. I get less confused. I find that with tennis. With tennis, I was taught by a left-handed person, so I can't do tennis right-handed. I have to do it left-handed. Well, writing is either or. My handwriting does look different in both hands, but I can write with both hands. And I can use scissors with either hand. You know, I used to use, quite often in school and stuff, they'd have X number of scissors, and I'd use left-handed scissors. And then I get told off going like, you're not left-handed. I'm like, well, it turns out I am in a weird way. Because I don't actually map to that perfect binary in quite the same way as it does for other people. So quite often I do have a left-handed preference for some things, and I'm right-handed for other things. It's not always straightforward. It doesn't map as cleanly as you might expect. Yeah, I was really annoyed about losing the footage earlier. I was honestly kind of like a little bit upset over it, but I fixed the failure mode that caused it, and now it won't happen again. Or at least it won't happen in that way. It'll happen in a different way, I'm sure. So, what I need to do is probably talk about the things that I was trying to talk about in the previous video. And I was talking explicitly about the shrug I was wearing and the yellow merino silk blend that's now a finished hank. I was talking about that. Let's start there, shall we? Now, it's very thin. It's much thinner than I expected. It's about the... It's a light fingering or a heavy lace weight. It's just a smidge thinner than I kind of had hoped for. And kind of too thin for me to really think of anything I could knit with it, especially it being merino, because merino is such... It's not the most durable of fibers. And because it's not the most durable of fibers, I don't really know what I would make with it. I'm kind of a bit like, okay. And also, I don't have a lot. I only have 16 grams. So I was like, So I posed a question to Ravel. I'm in the Stash Knit Down group on Ravelry. And I asked them. And they said that, ooh, you could use that for embroidery. Oh, that you could definitely use that for embroidery. And, oh my, that's thin. And I'm like, yeah, I know. It's thinner than I'd hoped for. You can use that for embroidery. And I thought that would be perfect because it's a beautiful sunshine yellow. Just imagine like an embroidered sunflower or something of that nature. Gorgeous, stunning, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And then I was thinking, well, what would I embroider? There's nothing really in my wardrobe that I would say. I am kind of thinking, okay, I have some acrylic jumpers from the before times. I don't work with acrylic anymore, but never once will I ever judge anyone else for using acrylic. This is a choice I have made for myself and myself only. What you choose to do is up to you. I will not judge you or anything of the sort. This is simply a choice I've made for myself. That none of my crafting will contain a petroleum-based fibre. That is all. So, completely judgment-free zone here. I want to make that clear. But yes, from the before times, I have acrylic jumpers. I was thinking, well, maybe I could embroider them, because they're not really kind of colours that I would wear nowadays. I do still wear them because they're useful and practical, but I don't love them. And maybe I would get more wear out of them if I did some embroidery. And then that embroidery would incorporate colours that I prefer to have in my wardrobe. Thought, oh, cool. But I'm not going to do that with this merino silk blend because it's my precious hand-spun merino silk blend. It's my hand spun. It's so precious. It needs to go to a project that's worthy of it. And I just don't feel like any of these projects really fall into that category. So what I was thinking, clearly it needs a new project for that embroidery. And I think that project is demonstrating itself well. This is a fast fashion shawl made of cotton. It's 100% cotton. It's fast fashion. And it is constantly slipping off my shoulders and driving me insane. But I still wear it. I've said before that I hate clothing I have to constantly adjust. And yet here I am wearing this thing that I need to constantly adjust. What's going on? Well, this dress is sleeveless, which I like. But I also like my arms being covered. Even if my arms are theoretically covered because they're covered with this, sort of eyelets and meshy things, right? So meshy cardigan, meshy shrug, it's solid. It's something, I get a lot of wear out of in the summer. This I have worn to absolute death, despite the fact it irritates the heck out of me. Ooh, clock. So I've decided, I did a little pause to allow the clock to chime because it's so beautiful. So I've decided that clearly this works, this format works. This is something I wear and I appreciate. I want a kind of a meshy throw over something with long sleeves. Even if, this is like super, super lacy and meshy, that's totally fine. It's the theoretical coverage that just kind of like feels a bit nicer compared to bare arms sometimes. I can't articulate why. I really can't. It's just a preference. But that does open up an interesting thing, doesn't it? Because this annoys me because it constantly slips off my shoulders. And I have narrow shoulders. So most fast fashion garments will veil me in that way. Even the dress could do with being slightly further up. But the reason why it's not is because my shoulders just aren't that big. I have narrow shoulders, which means, there's slight fit discrepancies in pretty much every single item I own because they're not made to my proportions. So, I can make something that would fit me. I can make something that comes up here, stops right here, and has a crew neck, or has an opening in the front, a little bit of a V-neck with a button opening. I have so many different options. I could make a cardigan, I could make a pullover, but whatever I make, because it has to throw over something and be kind of loose and summery, it needs to be something. And I like the texture of this, and I like the weight. So I think, and this I would approximate is about a DK. Maybe a bit of a sport weight. So we're not talking about a super fine knit here. We're talking a little bit of a heavier knit. But that in 100% cotton? Yes, 100%. If I can fix what's going on up here, I would wear that all the time. So a summer lace knit in a cotton or cotton linen blend, perfect. Perfect. I would get so much wear out of it. And maybe I could retire this thing that's annoying the heck out of me. Because the only reason this is still in my wardrobe is because I have no other options that really fill that same gap. So, and this is in good condition. So, you know, it can be donated and used by someone else who will actually appreciate it. Rather than just being tolerated. As it is right now. So, I think, especially since it doesn't really fit me now, does it? Constantly falling off my shoulders, I wouldn't call that a good fit. So I think that really what needs to happen, I need to knit that summer thing. And I've been saying this for probably the past 2 years, that I've been needing to knit this summer DK cotton linen. And what is in my stash right now? I have Rowan Creative Linen. That's a linen cotton blend. And I have a nice green, and I have more of a darker teal. Now, I don't know if I have enough to make anything with. But I have 2 colours. I have 2 skeins of 2 colours. So I have 400 grams total, which might be enough to make something, but I'm not sure. And I've looked at lots of patterns on Ravelry, and they either have the wrong neck, where they're more here, like this, or here, like this. Neither of which are necklines I like. They don't work with my body. As I say, narrow shoulders, so all that'll happen is it'll just kind of slip off my shoulder and sit more like this. No thank you. I find that a lot of these sort of boat necklines, or ones that come up here and choke you, or that are very square, and they just don't work. They just don't work for me. So oftentimes I find when I knit jumper or a cardigan from a pattern, I almost always redraft the neck completely. I'll bring it up here, and I'll lower the neckline slightly so that there's enough room for my head mostly. So this adjustment also will close up the neck slightly, but by lowering it here, I basically I'm changing the shape, but I'm not changing the size of the opening. So that means it sits better. It sits the way I want, but also I can get my head through it. That's just a simple adjustment. Basically, you need, when you join for the shoulders here, this is if you're knitting flat, when you join for the shoulders here, before you get to that point, your stitch count just needs to be extra. So basically you do fewer decreases here, but you also start your actual neck opening lower. And that works brilliantly. That gives me a proper crew neck. And I'm pointing here, and I'm showing this neck. This neck's really low, but what I mean is it generally will sit here, I would say, sometimes here. That's about where my crew necks generally sit, so around here, like that. So a very classic crew neck, something you see a lot in menswear, actually. Much more so than I'd say women's wear. I find menswear tends to have what I would call a more standard crew neck that's just here. While a lot of women's wear I find tends to be more like this, or more of a scoop neck like this. And as I say, I can't wear either of those. They just do not work for my body, because they just constantly slip off my shoulder. Like this is constantly demonstrating, although this is a slightly different failure mode, but same result. But obviously this is a different problem. This is because, I could put a pin here, but no. For a start, I don't have a pin that I think would be, when I say a pin, I mean a brooch. I don't really have a brooch that would work with this. And also, I still think this sits weird even when I do this. If I was to join it here, it still kind of sits a bit strange, doesn't it? Yeah, not a fan. So this just doesn't fit me. That's just a reality. I don't think there's any degree of alterations that I could do with my current knowledge of altering, which I know a bit, but I admit I'm not like the most amazing expert at all. With my current knowledge of altering, I don't think I can fix this really. So this definitely needs to get donated. But at the moment I have nothing to replace it with, so I'd like to make something. And I think that is what I'll use for the embroidery, because I think having a bit of embroidery right here around the shoulder, right around here, just like a little bit of a yellow floral motif would be absolutely gorgeous. And I really am drawn to florals. When it comes to embroidery, consistently, the embroidery that I sit down and go, oh, and I really admire is sort of like more like vintagey florals. Absolutely gorgeous. Think like your Nana's doily, those kind of florals. I love those. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. I wouldn't know what to do with a doily in my house, which is why I don't own one. But having that kind of embroidery on like a wearable garment, to me, is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And I'm not very good at embroidery, but I can do Swiss darning. That's probably what I would do. I'd probably do some Swiss darning. Yes. I think that would be wonderful. Truly wonderful. And this is the kind of thing I like to do. When I'm working on a project, I like to sit here and I like to think, okay, what's next? And that time I spend thinking and percolating about the other project, like, oh, what works, what doesn't work, what do I want to do, what do I not want to do? And that time to really carefully consider the next project is such an important part of my workflow. It really helps me make something that I feel like I'm happy with. Or sometimes in the past, I've made stuff and I've realized halfway through, I'm like, why aren't I working on this? And it turns out it's because I don't even like it. That doesn't happen very often nowadays, but it used to happen a lot. To the point where I really got quite frustrated with myself. I was like, why aren't I working on this thing? It's a jumper, it's sort of like, has no sleeves, it comes down straight here in a box, and it's sewn up on the sides, and the arm's eye kind of ends down here, but there's no sleeves, so it doesn't really matter. It's kind of labelled more as a poncho, and it has a very like flat neck like this. Ooh, why aren't I working on this? In that particular case, I forced myself to finish it. This was years ago now. I'd say this is like 2018. I forced myself to finish it. I haven't worn it once. I still have it. I haven't worn it once. That's the kind of thing I'd like to avoid. Because now I have this item in my wardrobe that kind of has some like guilt attached to it. Because I'm like, oh, I don't wear this thing, and I took the time to make this. I don't really love the yarn, so I don't even think the yarn's like worth reclaiming. And it just doesn't align with anything I would want to make nowadays. So what do I do with this item now? Because I don't think anywhere where in terms of like clothing donations, it's not well made. And because it's so not well made, it would probably end up in landfill. And I'm like, do I want to just basically throw this item in landfill? No, not really. So it sits perpetually in my cupboard, unworn. I think that needs to be like a finish at February at some point. I should take that yarn, I should unravel the project. I should take that yarn and I should make something with it. I'm thinking because of the kind of yarn it is, it's very, as I say, it's not all something I would use nowadays. But it has kind of nice colours to it or something. I think it might want to be a dog blanket or something. I think that's probably what I'd use it for. Dog blanket. It's got this like variegated self-striping thing going on. It's all kind of blues and things. It's fine, but it's not great. It's like an acrylic that's got like 10% wool in it or something. So I'm like, it could be very practical for a dog bed. Because I think a dog bed, having something that's got that level of acrylic in it, but has that like little bit of wool for warmth, that's not the worst in the world. As I say, I would never buy that kind of yarn nowadays for reasons. As I say, I'm not here to judge anyone else. But I wouldn't choose to buy that yarn now. So I'm kind of like, okay, well, what do I make with this? Because I don't want to make any sort of like wearable garments with this, really. Because this isn't something I would wear. But I mean, really, the primary reason that I don't wear that item isn't really because of the fibre, it's because of the fit and the shape. Because it's just, what was I thinking? And also because of the fact it's badly made. I did a terrible job. It was my first time learning how to do mattress stitch. And about half the garment is like sewn up with this weird messy whip stitch. And the other half is using mattress stitch. I don't know what possessed me to do that. I really don't. Other than just taking shortcuts. And I really wanted a jumper that I kind of felt happy with, and it really wasn't that. I haven't worn it. And I've made jumpers since then that I wear more often. In winter, obviously, it's summer now. That's the thing, I've never made... Yeah, I can confidently say I've never made any kind of summer knit. Ever. I want to, but I never have. Everything I've made has been mostly winter. I've quite enjoyed all the winter knitting, don't get me wrong. Well, except socks. Socks I would say I can wear all year round, but I've enjoyed the winter knitting. But I think I might need to spread my wings a bit. Yeah, I need to start experimenting a bit more, I think. Different things I haven't done. I've knitted eyelets and things before. And I've knitted a little bit of lace knitting, but not for a garment. And it was only a little bit of lace knitting, it wasn't very much. So I know the theory. I can do slip stitches and lots of different things like that. I don't think there'd be really a skill issue with me just doing the stitches. And I've worked with cotton before. Oh. With everything that comes with cotton. There are a lot of people on the internet who hate working with cotton. You should see like all these posts about people working with cotton being like, hey, it's the absolute worst. It hurts my hand. It gives me pain and all this. And I'm like, but then again, it's like a lot of those people are also making posts about aragurumi. And I'm like, but in aragurumi, you need your tension to be like really tight. If you do that with cotton, I think that might be the issue because you're like holding things really tight. You just can't do that with cotton. At least I don't think so. And as I say, generally speaking, I would say you should control the tension with your needles, not with your tension as you're pulling. But if you're coming from the world of crochet, crochet works a bit differently. So because of that, I'm wondering if those people, I don't know this, but I'm wondering if those people who come from crochet aragurumi are coming into knitting thinking they have to pull everything really tight and then just holding the needles really, really tightly like this, which you can sort of get away with on like a softer, more forgiving fibre that has more bounce and stretch and stuff. I don't think you can get away with that with cotton because essentially you're fighting against the cotton and then that's when you get pain and problems. I think that's what's happening. I'm not entirely sure. I would need to basically sit there with one of these people who think cotton is the worst thing to knit with, sit with them and see how they're knitting, because I think that would give me a lot of information. Because having pain when you knit, it, like straight off the bat, is not really normal. Like that shouldn't be happening. That normally indicates that something is wrong. You know, it can be a health issue, but if you're fine knitting with every other type of fibre, and it's just cotton giving the issue, that sounds to me like it's more technique driven, but of course I don't know. And you know, that could be different for different people as well. But I assume that's what's happening. I think it's probably a tension issue, and I think you need to like loosen up a bit and, you know, let the muscles relax a bit, and I think that would be better. I'm only speaking from personal experience because when I knit with cotton, I usually try to sort of like as I say, I control my tension with my needles. So I'm never really in a situation where I'm having to pull the stitches really tightly on the needles. It's just not how I knit. So I think that's why I don't have that issue. I think that's probably why. I'm not sure. I'm just speculating. And again, this is not me saying, you suck at knitting. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that this might be fixable. Might be fixable. But I think when it comes to your body and like pain and that sort of thing, you need to take it seriously. You can't be pushing through the pain. Don't do that. That's dreadful. That's how you get RSI and like permanent injuries and stuff like that. So don't do that. Don't. This is a bad idea. Do not push through the frame. During this Tour de Fleece, those rest days, important. I need to remember when they are. I think the next one's 66. The next one is the 16th. That's what I tried to say. There we are. Yes. Absolutely. There we go. We're coming towards the end of the fibre now. Really, really close to the end. Oh, super close. Oh my goodness, we might actually finish it this video. Oh, unbelievable. And not just because I spent another 30 minutes spinning earlier because of the corrupted footage. As I said in that video, which you will never see, I'm finding that these videos are really helping me like keep up with the spinning. I think otherwise I would have really struggled to find time for it. So this is great. Like this is a real success story of like, you know, doing 30 minutes every single day. That's enough to make, you know, real substantial progress. Progress or progress? I don't know. I once had an IT teacher in high school who said it really weirdly, and I think it just kind of like short-circuited my brain, and now I can't say it normally. And I kind of like flip between saying progress and progress, and I have relatives who are like, "Why are you saying it that way?" And I'm like, "I don't know. If I don't think about it, I'm fine. If I think about it too hard, just no, it does not work." I think one is British English and one is American English, I think. So both are correct. But I would prefer to use the British English because that's the language I speak. I speak British English. Ah, see? This last little bit is the last little bit. Which, yes, I'm going to spin this. It's the last little bit. There's a little cutie there. Stop. Yeah, I can't get rid of that. That's just a knot. So I'm going to take that off and not use it. That can go in the pile of waste yarn that I've got in a little box that I'm going to make into an art bat eventually, one day. We're experiencing a moment. Oh, have it so you can actually see it. Yeah, with the sun on it, you can really. If I flip it around this way, actually. There you go. There you go. That's beautiful, isn't it? It's gorgeous. That's 20 grams right there. Or near enough. I did weigh it, but you know what spinning's like. Beautiful. Oh, I'm so happy. This is so worth it. Absolutely so worth it. This is gorgeous. So, I think we're near enough half an hour. I think we've been going on long enough. And I think next video, tomorrow, you'll see me once again struggle with my niddy nuddy. And we'll probably start plying it with that green single. You haven't seen the green single yet. Actually, I put it in yesterday's thumbnail, so you have seen it. I keep looking over there because that's where it is. That's where it is. You know, I'm going to show you. I'll show you. Have one moment. Look at this. There you go. This one's even harder for you to see because of the shadows. There you go. There you go. So this emeraldy green. And you can see what I mean about the free bobbins now. 1, 2, 3. This guy I bought this year. These two I bought last year when I first started learning how to spin. And I was like, this will probably make plying easier. And yes, it makes plying easier. And this third one I bought this year because I wanted to make a free ply sock yarn. That's why I bought it. Isn't that so nice? Admittedly, I am getting slightly sick of spinning the black. So I think for my own sanity, I think the next project I'll work on, once this one is done, potentially, I haven't fully decided yet, but potentially working on that free ply, which I think will be cool. Or more the barber pole. Either one, making a dent in a stash and actually getting things finished. That's it for like unfinished projects on my spindles. That's fantastic. Actually gotten to the bottom of my spinning whips. That's great. Although, elephant in the room, I'm not sure how much is on this bobbin. That looks suspiciously like it's not 20 grams, or this probably is 20 grams. Which means I'll probably have more black left on the bobbin. Which means if I want to follow that immediately with a free ply, I need another bobbin. Or I need to clear this bobbin. Or we'll just keep going forever, swapping between the green and the black. Almost certainly that's probably what will happen. Are we saying I need another bobbin? With the tiny non-zero risk of accidentally having them send me sample fibre again. Although they didn't for these two. These two bobbins they didn't, and this one they did, so 50-50 chance. Oh, who knows? I'm really tempted to buy another bobbin now. Should I? You can let me know. For now, I've rambled on enough. And we genuinely achieved something today. Oh, I'm so happy. Goodbye. And that is the end of the video. And now we've come to the section that I call the Webring. And it's an idea borrowed from the days of Netscape, the time before Google, early internet, where people would link to each other. They'd link to the things that they thought were cool and interesting. And you didn't rely on algorithms to find other people. You went round all these different links and you looked through and you surfed the internet for cool things. Well, I give you in the description a list of cool channels that you should check out. And I do this at the end of every single video. I include another channel that you should go check out. Etienne. The Sunshine. I've just started watching this video, I haven't finished it yet, but I've watched some of his other videos, which YouTube isn't showing for some reason. You can't rely on the red bar, honestly you can't. 9 times out of 10 it doesn't show up for me, but it does not matter, because his videos are gorgeous. He has a cat called Velma. A cat called Velma! Can you imagine something so perfect? And look at his dog. Beautiful. Beautiful. Look at his dog. Beautiful. Some dogs are like this with yarn. They're just like kind of obsessed and they love just like the feel of yarn and all this sort of stuff. I had a Labrador who's absolutely
obsessed with like woolen, like particularly blankets that I had made or mum had made or something like that. He just really, really liked them. He liked blankets anyway. He was kind of obsessed. But he especially loved handmade blankets. Oh, he loved them so much. He absolutely would just go around with a sock on his head and he'd be well chuffed. And he liked wearing stuff as well. I've never known a dog, particularly a Labrador, they're quite big, that likes wearing things. You know, we'd put stuff on him as a joke and he'd be like stressing around, like, yeah, this is cool. I mean, it used to be a job of getting off him. He liked scarves. He really liked scarves. Yeah, he's an old boy. He really liked his scarves. Probably kept him nice and warm because, you know, his fur and stuff like that. As he was getting older, sure, he felt the cold a bit more. But yeah, this reminds me a little bit. His dog, in terms of nature, I would say, not in terms of breed at all, because they're completely different. But in terms of nature, it does remind me of my old Labrador quite a bit. A very similar, lovely nature. You only get that kind of nature out of a dog if you really look after them and really appreciate them, because they can be sensitive souls, can dogs. You know, and my two are basket cases, so what that says about me, I have no idea. But my point being, his channel is gorgeous, and he has like this lovely narration where it's just like, it's really calming, really chill, and he always seems like really enthusiastic in everything he does. I mean, look at this darning. I love darning. Okay, I love darning. But look at this darning. Look how pretty. Gorgeous. I love darning. It's just, wow. Beautiful. Beautiful. I love darning. Darning is just gorgeous. Because I love darning socks. I like doing Swiss darning. I find it really satisfying. I say this like I'm not the kind of person that has a cupboard full of mending projects that they haven't done yet. Including darning. I should get on that. After Tour de Fleece. Yes, after Tour de Fleece. Totally. We'll get there. I'll totally tackle that pile and it won't just sit there forever. Uh-huh. I think it's time for you to leave and to go to this channel. And for now, goodbye.